Hi there and welcome to Chalk Session. I am your host, Brian Griffiths. This is the show here at the Duck Pen where we analyze and review and critique political campaign ads. So join us on this week's show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let's take a look at this week's ad. On this week's episode of Chalk Session, we are going to discuss and break down a video by Byron Brown. He is the incumbent mayor of Buffalo, New York, but he lost his primary to a socialist and is now running a write-in campaign. So we are going to do much like we did in our first episode. We're going to go through this. This commercial, and I will analyze it. At the end, I'll give you my final grade. So let's go ahead and get this started.
If India Walton becomes mayor, 100 police officers will be fired, including me.
And me.
I love how this just starts with, it's got serious music, facial expressions right up front. These are focused on real people and not just a group of people, police officers. This is a very dynamic way to start the video, especially to start with an African-American man and then a white woman.
All of us.
And then we cut to this group shot where there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, almost 2 dozen police officers, all of which who would lose their jobs under India Walton's plan to cut the police. And one of the things I want to point out here is the fact that this is a very diverse crowd. It's very heavy on African-American officers. I'm assuming they are all officers. They all look like officers. Some of them have even some of the officer equipment on. Obviously, they're not in uniform. That would be bad if they were in uniform. But this is a very powerful ad just to start with.
Lose our jobs.
India Walton plans to cut $7.5 million from the police department.
And of course, this is the typical negative ad. The best part of a negative ad is whenever time you have somebody making a point and to have a picture of them looking angry. In this instance, India Walton yelling into a megaphone.
That means firing 100 police officers.
And since the city is required to lay off the newest officers first,
most of us are women
and people of color.
And that is the dagger right there. I mean, this, especially when you consider that India Walton has based a lot of her campaign on socialism and on being equitable and how Buffalo is all racist. The fact that women and minorities are going to be hardest hit by her policing plan. And this is just a devastating ad just for that. That is the money shot right there.
Our job is keeping Buffalo safe.
we can't do that under India Walton.
And then just to end there at the end with India Walton is too risky, which has kind of been the entire je ne sais quoi of this race, is the fact that, and that's why Mayor Brown decided to run again, is because he lost the primary, didn't take his opponent seriously in the primary. She beat him by 5 points. And a lot of people, Democrats, Republicans, independent businesses said, this is not for us. So a very good ad. And we'll come back here momentarily and give it a grade and analyze it some more. All right, well, let's go ahead and analyze this week's commercial, this Byron Brown for Mayor of Buffalo commercial. I think the first thing that really sticks out to me is how visually striking this commercial is. It goes straight to the face of the officers. It has the faces of real officers who are going to be impacted by the actions of India Walton. It's a diverse cast of officers. I think a lot of times there's an expectation that all police officers in urban areas are white, and I think that's definitely oversold by some elements of the left. It's a very visually striking ad where you have these 24 or so officers on a stoop telling people exactly what there's going on. And that's why I think the second thing I want to talk about here is how well cast this is. I mean, just whoever assembled the officers for this ad did a really great job in assembling officers who are representative of the entire Buffalo Police Department. I think that's a very important thing to do. And the third thing I want to highlight is the seriousness in tone of this ad. So many times you see ads that are trying to make a serious point, a serious critique of a candidate, and it gets a little too campy, a little too funny for its own good. Those of you from Maryland who may remember the incumbent Soros ad from Eric Wargotz's Senate campaign in 2010 may remember that. Maybe we'll go over that here in a future episode. But this has a very serious tone. It talks about the stakes, and it doesn't try to make a joke of it. And I think that people will probably very much appreciate that. As far as the negative go, the only thing I can really dock this on is the fact that it doesn't highlight the fact that Byron Brown is a write-in candidate. When you have attack ads like this, you really don't want to include your name in the ad. You don't want, at least as much as possible, you don't want to draw attention to the fact that you are paying for this and this is a negative ad. So to a certain extent, I understand that. I think this is a more unique circumstance considering Brown is running a write-in campaign. His slogan is "Write Down Byron Brown," which I think is a very clever slogan, by the way. But as far as I'm concerned, a small demerit, but an otherwise very strong ad certainly does not do anything to detract from the quality of this ad. I give this Byron Brown ad an A. That's all the time we have on this episode of Chalk Session. Again, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you have an ad that you want us to analyze in one of these Chalk Session videos, please feel free to email us at theduckpin@gmail.com. For all of us here at The Duckpin, thanks, and we'll see you next time.